the ethics of indifference among Chinese casual gamers. So, over to you, Yaojing.
Thank you, Merlin. Hi, everyone. I'm Yaojing Wang, and I'm a second-year PhD student studying social anthropology at the University of Edinburgh. So currently, I'm conducting the field work in Shanghai and soon will be in Shenzhen as well. So what I'm going to present today mainly consists of my recent findings, but it's still paper in progress. So it has been believed that online games have power to connect people. Playing with others seems a sweet chance to socialize with friends and even random gamers. Many ethnographies either pay attention to in-game communities like guilds or observe how the social relations established in games are transferable to the real life. In both situations, what have been overlooked are disassociation, evasion, and the time when people playing online but alone. So in my ongoing fieldwork with adult gamers in China, I find what happens during the time of gaming alone is nothing trivial. In fact, many gamers spend a considerable of their time playing on their own, even though they do occasionally play with friends. By foregrounding solitude in online games, this ethnography about gamers can also be taken as an opportunity for us to rethink the concept of connection and community at the time when online is becoming a basic way of living, so that it seems too private to approach. Studying gaming alone also brings a methodological challenge in which only plenty of individuals can be directly located. In the face of such challenges, I find the ethical aspect of gaming worth our consideration. In recent years, the idea of ethic in anthropology is concerned with not only collectiveness, but also individuality, not only as norms and standards, but also as affect and experience. In this presentation, I explored what I call the ethics of indifference among casual gamers. I refer to these gamers as casual gamers, as how they often recognize themselves to be. They are casual, not because they play casual games. On the contrary, a huge portion of the daily gaming is intense and online, normally with a player versus player content. Most of them play a mobile type game named Honor of Kings, which is one of the most popular mobile games in China today. In fact, casual points out their distant and frivolous attitude towards gaming. A popular phrase among them is just casual play. It dismisses the value of gaming and their attachment to it. It perfectly conveys the ethic of indifference, in my opinion. In daily practice, the ethic of indifference is also experienced by casual gamers and made visible when they negotiate other related issues like temporality. But first, why is the ethic of indifference? Among these casual gamers, the ethics of indifference is represented by their efforts to describe gaming as so unimportant and worthless to them that it can be abandoned easily. The ethic of indifference is often expressed through the phrase just casual play, or in Chinese, 随便玩玩, or not taking it earnest, 没那么认真, with which these casual games seek to distance themselves from the activity of gaming. The ethic of indifference becomes explicitly visible through such things on diverse occasions. For example, Li and Tintin were two roommates and both female gamers. When we first met, they claimed they were only casual gamers, but proving to me that they always took care of other life matters first. According to them, they put a wider range of things ahead of playing games, including work, exercise, housekeeping, as well as seeking romantic dates. Another example is once in a coffee shop, I chatted with a man while he was playing Honor of Kings. He seemed very frustrated by his losing streak. When he was about to lose another match, he shrugged and mumbled to himself, "Thankfully, I'm just casually playing." In this case, he fully engaged in gaming and apparently affected by it. But in the meanwhile, he was or appeared to be indifferent to the game. In both cases, it does not matter whether their words show their actual feelings or doings. Displaying indifference is always more crucial about presenting the self in front of others as well as in front of themselves. Displaying one's indifference has grown to be an unconscious strategy to deal with moral concerns about video games. In China, the moral concern about video games has been closely connected to the public panic over internet addiction, Wang that is usually the same as game addiction. Gaming was compared to smoking opium, addictive and devastating. Historically, addictive drugs are not only believed to be the major threat to individual development, but also associated with many social problems and the overall degeneration of the social orders that once led to the downfall of the Chinese nation from the 19th to 20th centuries. In this sense, it is moral well-being rather than mental health that was prescribed for the individual amidst the panic over the internet addiction in China over a decade ago. Although the moral concept about gaming is much alleviated nowadays, it has shaped the collective memory of gaming among a generation of young people at the time. Kevin, a male gamer with one child now, told me that his school days about 15 years ago were all about being a hardworking student and changing one's own fate. And part of that hard work was staying away from popular and online games. Nowadays, the ethic of indifference is accompanied by a type of new rhetoric about what may be considered risky, unethical, and thus must be managed for adult gamers. In this rhetoric, the focus is no longer on how much time, energy, or money is spent on games. It is the desire per se that is becoming the focus of the self-management. The powerful example is the distinction which my interlocutor Andrew made between him and his game addict peers. In college, Andrew used to skip classes and play in internet cafes from time to time. But Andrew argued that he did so not because of his desire to play, but only because he disliked those classes and intended to do anything else. Gaming just happened to be the most convenient choice. But some of his classmates, according to him, skipped the classes only because they badly want to join a raid in game. Andrew said, addiction, or in Chinese, yin, is a large connect to one's own heart. Xin, he argued that there's a xin under yin in the Chinese character, in the pattern of Chinese character. So, and he knew his heart is really loaded with the games. During the time I did my study with him and he worked as an internet cafe receptionist, he was still applying this moral reason to his daily play. And he sometimes preferred game and sleep in the same internet cafe instead of returning home during the 8 hours between his two shifts. He insists that his decision was made out of his aversion to commuting rather than his desire to play. So in other words, as long as the desire to play is still manageable in the heart of the gamers, the engagement in online games is morally irreproachable for adults. Managing one's desire is trickier because if the only thing that needs to be managed is the desire, it leaves some room for the individual to negotiate such ethical issues. In the story of casual gamers, displaying indifference precisely performs the result of the minimalized desires so that the continuous inspection of one's own heart can be suspended. In this manner, being indifferent is to alleviate the moral concern and enable casual gamers to play ethically. Then, how does the ethics make the casual game indifferent to sociality in the online world? Frequently, the casual gamers describe playing with friends as unrealistic because, first of all, it's difficult to find a suitable time for all participants. While there are explicit solutions to such difficulties like making an appointment with each other, it's barely an option for the casual gamers. This is because gaming is first and foremost an unplanned activity. In explaining the ethics of indifference, I mentioned a tendency among casual gamers to deprioritize gaming. It means the casual gamer label their gaming moments as completely free time or the time without other things to do. However, these things are so ambiguous that it points not so much to the objective situations as their emotional states or the feeling, as how they put it. In essence, being completely free and without other things to do are pseudo propositions that require no verification, but only feeling of necessity and righteousness to play. And that feeling brings the casual gamer comfort and ease, particularly when they need to juggle gaming and other activities. When Kevin plays at home, this is exactly how the ethics of indifference is experienced. The first time I invited Kevin to team up in Honor of Kings, he told me he wouldn't stay online for long because he needs to pause every once in a while. In fact, by pause, he means to deal with other matters, such as replying messages, helping with housework, and attending to his child. Kevin framed this temporality as his own intermittent rhythm, or in Chinese, 断断续续的节奏, or rather casual rhythm, 节奏比较休闲. The most important thing is Kevin doesn't think that gaming in casual rhythm means his immersion in the game world is interrupted by banal matters. Quite the contrary. This is exactly what makes him agile and comfortable as a husband and a father, as well as a casual gamer play for the sake of the play. So in conclusion, through the lens of ethic, I wish this study shed the light on how the ethic of indifference helps these casual gamers to navigate through the liminal space between problem gaming and proper leisure, and how it prompts gaming alone at the same time. Although in recent years, some scholars argue that the moral concerns about video games has much reduced, it is important to be aware of the very historic process where the ethical problems of the gaming are framed. Nevertheless, the ethics of indifference does not ask people to pretend. It is not merely imposed on gamers from the outside, but largely experienced from the inside. But how exactly to work on this regard, it surely requires further study. In the case of online games, we say the human engagement in online gaming in online activities is about connections, but also about these associations, where the public facade of the online activities has interested many scholars. The story of these casual gamers reminded us that how the private feeling of the individual is similarly meaningful. Thank you.
My clap stands for all the claps. Fascinating, really interesting material. And yes, lots of themes starting to emerge about perhaps things like the place of the reframing of discourses and control. Well, I'm about to say that, as well as ethics, as well as affect. Okay,